The Flood from Halo. The Flood is a parasitic life form that first appears in Halo Combat Evolved and quickly establishes itself as the franchise's existential boogeyman. At its core, the Flood is an all-consuming infection that hijacks any sentient creature with sufficient biomass, rewriting the host's cells and nervous system in minutes. An infected body becomes a shambling combat form that still remembers how to use guns, vehicles, and tactics, so every fallen soldier instantly bolsters the Flood's ranks. Smaller infection forms, think leash-sized spores with teeth, swarm battlefields in clouds, burrow into flesh, and pilot the corpse from the inside. As the parasite spreads, it links individual hosts into a single intellect. Once enough biomass is gathered, these neural threads coalesce into a gravemind, an enormous, subterranean brain capable of star-level strategy and chillingly eloquent speech. A mature gravemind can steer entire fleets of captured ships, manipulate Forerunner technology, and devise galaxy-wide war plans. Worse, it absorbs memories along with bodies, so every tactical secret the Covenant or UNSC ever knew becomes Flood property. The Flood consists of various specialized forms. The most basic Flood forms are the infection forms, which come in various types and infect hosts by hijacking their bodies and nervous systems. Infected hosts then undergo a rapid series of transformations, becoming lethal combat forms, and combat forms are used to subdue and secure additional hosts for infection. And once they have outlived their usefulness as warriors, they transform into carrier forms, spreading the Flood by spreading more infection forms. And once the Flood has amassed enough bodies to create a gravemind, it is capable of generating pure forms, which are created solely from assimilated nutrients and biomass. Pure forms observed during the outbreak in late 2552 were able to spontaneously mutate between three configurations: Stalker, Tank, and Ranged forms, although in practice, the true extent of their mutability is impossible to effectively catalog. And millions of years before humanity's rise, the ancient Forerunners realized containment was impossible. If left unchecked, the Flood would consume every sentient species and cover the galaxy into a single, ravenous organism. Their desperate solution was the Halo Array, 7 ring-walled superweapons calibrated to wipe out all life with sufficient neural complexity, starving the Flood of hosts in one cataclysmic pulse. The Crust. Crust began as a 2008 creator-owned comic by writer Garth Ennis and artist Jason Burrows, then expanded into multiple miniseries like Family Values and Badlands and Plus 100. The outbreak starts when a mysterious pathogen sweeps the globe in days. Victims developed a weeping, cross-shaped rash over their faces, hence the nickname the Crust. Unlike zombies, the infected are very much alive. Their brains are simply rewired to erase empathy and crank every violent or sexual impulse to maximum. Incubation takes seconds and transmission comes from any bodily fluid, and there is no cure, which means society collapses almost overnight. The Crust retain full intelligence. They drive cars, shoot guns, plan ambushes, and because they feel no pain, they will mutilate themselves if it helps torment a victim. The plague isn't about fearing or survival, it's about indulging every taboo urge. That sadism turns traditional run from the horde horror into something far more personal. Survivors must hide not only from mass attacks, but also from small, cunning packs that set elaborate traps or infiltrate refugee camps through deception. And later arcs introduce smarter Crust like Smokey, who can delay his impulses long enough to organize armies, and Crust Plus 100, which jumps a century forward to show how humans eke out medieval-level existences while the planet remains a playground for the infected. And the series never offers a miracle cure or heroic finale. Its bleak power lies in suggesting that once the Crust virus appears, humanity's only long-term choices are isolation, rigid tribalism, or eventual absorption into an endless carnival of cruelty. Return of the Living Dead Zombies. These zombies explode every Romero rule. They're created by a military nerve agent called Trioxin 245, accidentally released from mislabeled barrels stored in a Louisville medical supply warehouse. When the gas seeps into a nearby cemetery or wafts sky high in later sequels, it reanimates any dead tissue it touches. But these corpses aren't shuffling or brainless, they sprint up fast, attack in raspy voices, and run with full motor control. Destroying the brain or burning the body or even chopping it to pieces only produces more animated parts, and cremation spreads trioxin in smoke that drifts down as reanimation rain. And what really sets them apart is pain-driven intelligence. The dead remain fully aware of their own decomposition, describing the constant agony of rotting as like your whole body's on fire. Eating fresh human brains momentarily numbs that torment, so they actively hunt living victims with purpose. They use Radius to lure more paramedics, ambush rescue crews, and because they don't feel pain, pull off self-mutilating stunts like ripping off their own limbs to crawl through tight spaces, just to keep the chase going. And their strategic thinking turns every rescue attempt into a trap, and every safe zone into an eventual slaughterhouse. The result is cosmic hopelessness. Local authorities try sealing off areas and even nuking infected towns, but that only vaporizes trioxin into the upper atmosphere, guaranteeing the next thunderstorm rains zombies on a new city. There's no cure, no quarantine that sticks, and no headshot solution. The more humanity fights back, the faster it accelerates its own extinction. Marvel Zombies. Just think of Marvel characters turned into zombies. That's Marvel Zombies. The outbreak begins on Earth 2149 when an infected century crashes through a dimensional barrier and spreads an extraterrestrial hunger virus. Within hours, every major hero and villain is bitten, dies and reanimates, but crucially retains full intellect and superpowers. The Avengers still wield their shields, the X-Men their mutant gifts, only now those gifts serve one goal: feed. What makes this plague uniquely apocalyptic is its snowballing power curve. A zombified Hulk has limitless strength and an appetite to match. An undead Scarlet Witch can teleport fresh meat straight into the maw of a cosmic-level zombie Wolverine. Even cosmic entities fall. The zombie horde outsmarts. Silver Surfer devours his power cosmic, and fueled by that energy, tears Galactus apart, absorbing his World Eater abilities. In minutes, they leap from planet Hungry to multi-universal apex predators, able to cross the stars under their own power and strip worlds bare in a feeding frenzy. Later storylines like Marvel Zombies 2, 3, and 4, Return, Resurrection, and Marvel Zombies Dead Days show splinter factions wrestling with lingering conscience, or ruthlessly hunting the living across realities like a pack of superpowered locusts. Some infected, like Giant Man and Reed Richards, search for cures only to protect their food supply, while stray survivors such as Black Panther and Deadpool navigate ruins, crawling with god-level cannibals. Dead Space Zombies. They are called Necromorphs, hideous corpses reanimated and grotesquely reshaped by the alien signal of an artifact known as the Marker. When humans, or any sizable life form, die within range of the Marker's electromagnetic field, microscopic recombinator organisms flood the body, rewriting its DNA in minutes. Bones split into psyched plates, organs liquefy into fuel, and flesh stretches into claws or tentacles. The result is a creature that's neither living nor dead. It has no vital organs to destroy, feels no pain, and exists for one purpose: convert more flesh. Necromorphs escalate in complexity as fresh biomass piles up. Infection forms burst into needle crawlers, that dart into wounds, and pilot corpses from the inside. The most common battlefield threats are slashers, spindly bipeds whose arm blades can shear steel, and leapers, torsos refitted with scorpion tails that bounce across zero-G hangars. And when herds of dead bodies accumulate, as on the USG Ishimura or the Sprawl, the parasite skips skeletons altogether and grows bespoke war machines, brutes with rhinoplating, wall-fused guardians that spawn more infectors, and entire city block megamasses like the Hive Mind or Brethren Moon, each acting as a neural hub for everything it has absorbed. What truly magnifies the horror is the Marker's hive mind signal. Every severed limb and every twitching corpse remains psychically linked. Kill a necromorph the wrong way, and its loose parts may scuttle off to fuse into something worse. The Marker also projects hallucinogenic visions, luring survivors toward their own deaths and ensuring fresh materials for the swarm. Conventional firearms mostly fail, as headshots do nothing, so the only reliable tactic is strategic dismemberment, shearing off bladed limbs with industrial tools like Isaac Clarke's plasma cutter. Even then, the severed pieces remain dangerous until pulped or incinerated, and a single surviving infector can reignite the outbreak in hours. The girl with all the gifts zombies. The apocalypse begins when a mutated strain of Ophiocordyceps, a real parasitic fungus that hijacks insect bodies, jumps to humans. The infection spreads by bites or contact with body fluids, warming tendrils through the nervous system within minutes. Once seized, a victim becomes a hungry, driven by pure predatory instinct. Cities fall in days, and what's left of the UK retreats behind fortified enclaves, while the countryside turns into a quiet, overgrown graveyard stalked by feral packs. Physically, Hungries combine the worst traits of zombies and pack animals. They are gaunt but incredibly fast, sprinting at prey the moment they catch a whiff of live flesh. Their sense of smell is razor keen, but they ignore anything that doesn't move. Over time, fungal plates erupt from their faces and torsos, hardening into natural armor. When a Hungry's body mass is exhausted, the cordyceps forces it to root into the ground like a macabre flower stalk, and these stationary spore trees eventually burst, releasing clouds of infectious dust powerful enough to blanket entire population centers into a single gust of wind. And the story's most chilling innovation is the second generation Hungries, children infected in the womb after the collapse. Unlike their feral parents, they retain full intelligence and emotions, while still craving human flesh. Protagonist Melanie and her cohort can speak, reason, and even feel love, yet the hunger never fades, hinting that they represent the planet's next dominant species. And by the novel's end, Melanie's choice to unleash the massive spore trees ensures the fungus will sweep the globe, dooming the remnants of uninfected humanity, but granting her kind a world where intellect and instinct coexist in a new, fungal-human hybrid future. Call of Duty Zombies. Call of Duty Zombies mode started life as a goofy post-credits extra in World at War in 2008 and snowballed into its own mythos that now spans World War II bunkers, the moon, ancient Atlantis, pocket dimensions, and even the Dark Ether itself. The plague begins when Nazi scientists, led by Dr. Richthofen, experiment with Element 115, a meteor-borne mineral that can power wonder weapons but also reanimates the tissue. The element rips holes in reality, letting Lovecraft-style apothecans, eldritch keepers, and demonic announcers toy with the timeline. Every map picks up after some catastrophic leak of 115. There is Kino der Toten, Mob of the Dead's Alcatraz loop, so the undead keep cropping up wherever the element is refined, tested, or weaponized. As the mode expanded through the Black Ops trilogy and beyond, so did the undead roster. Standard walkers escalate into round-based bullet sponges, but every few levels, new terrors appear. Hellhounds race through flaming portals, Nova crawlers explode in poisonous gas, the armored Panzer Soldat fires rockets while clawing you with a grappling hook, and later installments add Lovecraftian giants such as the tree-mounted Margwa, dimension-wrapping abominations, and the skyscraper-tall Orda. Round by round, spawn rates climb, health pools balloon, and only Pack-a-Punch upgraded wonder weapons like the Ray Gun, the Thunder Gun, Staffs of the Ancients, DIE Shockwave, or CRBRS can thin the horde fast enough to survive, and hidden Easter egg quests often requiring ciphers, elemental upgrades, or switching tiny dolls in a new precise order, unlock narrative cutscenes that advance the saga or literally blow up the map as an escape. And the lore threads all that chaos into an apocalypse on loop. In the Ether timeline, Richthofen, Dempsey, Chekio, and Nikolai bounce through eras, trying to undo the dimensional tears Element 115 and Samantha Maxis have ripped on, and their bittersweet finale rewrites reality at the cost of their own existence, only for the separate Dark Ether arc in Black Ops Cold War and Vanguard to reveal new rifts, new operatives, and even nastier zombies. No cure ever sticks. Every timeline ends in sacrifice or temporary containment, and each experiment with 115 inevitably spawns another endless wave, and that perpetual escalation makes COD Zombies a uniquely cyclical, ever-mutating threat where survival is measured not in days, but in how many rounds you can last before the horde inevitably overruns everything. The Rising Zombies. Brian Keene's The Rising swaps the conventional virus origin for something far more primal and unsettling. A secret particle accelerator experiment tears open a rift to the void, letting disembodied demons called the Siqqusim pour into our world. And these entities don't just reanimate corpses, they can also possess any recently dead animal or ambush the living and hijack them from the inside out. The moment a Siqqusim slips into a body, the eyes film over, speech becomes guttural and cruel, and the host flesh starts to decay without ever shutting the creature down. Once inside, the Siqqusim retain all of the host's motor skills plus demon intellect. They drive cars, wield firearms, set traps, and coordinate ambushes over long distances by simply talking through the void. Because they feel no pain and don't need vital organs, headshots and dismemberment only slow them until they crawl back together or swap bodies entirely. Worse, every species is on the menu. Deer, birds, dogs, even fish erupt from ponds to attack, turning the entire food chain against humanity. And the Siqqusim's favorite pastime is psychological torture. They'll taunt survivors with memories stolen from the bodies they wear just to savor the terror before the kill. As the novels progress, it becomes clear there's no cure and no safe haven. Major cities fall within days, and the few remaining humans are either hiding underground or running a gauntlet of possessed wildlife and sadistic, gun-toting corpses. Keene's apocalypse is bleak even by zombie standards. The world isn't facing a mindless horde but a legion of strategists wearing rotting masks, guided by an otherworldly hive mind that intends to snuff out every last heartbeat simply because, to the Siqqusim, life itself is an abomination that must be erased.